Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's Grow Wealthy Grooming. I'm your host, River Lee, of the founder of the Savvy Groomer, where I teach you to go from being burnt out, broken to healthy, wealthy, and happy. Building a business on your terms. So let's go ahead and start up today. Hey, Plush Paws, great to see you here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop my chat up so I can see you guys as you're talking to me. I love when you guys come live. It's always fun. Hey, Erin, great to see you. All right, let me go ahead and pop open today's show. Today, we're going to be talking about too many clients, too little time. So I've been noticing a lot in the Facebook groups that people are asking questions about what to do. They have so many inquiries. They have so many people that are interested in becoming their grooming clients, and they just don't know what to do with that. So I thought this would be a great topic to discuss today. Hey, 80, great to see you here. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, with your clientele, are they your soulmate clients? Now I teach a format where there's 3 different clients, right? There is the soulmate client, who is the perfect client. They pay your price. They come every 4 weeks. They have the pet you want. It's an easy haircut or a haircut that you really enjoy. Then we have our ideal clients. Our ideals are kind of like the person that might be on a 6 or 8 week schedule. Maybe they're not perfect, but they're pretty darn good, right? And then the third one is what I call the fling client. They are the client that is, calls you when they need you, but other than that, they don't have a relationship with you, right? It reminds me a lot of people that, that are dating, and I always use dating as my example because that's kind of unfortunately the lifestyle I'm at the moment. But, people will, be like, oh, I get nothing but guys that just want to have a one night stand. And my feeling is if that's what you're getting, then maybe, don't talk to those people. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Hey, Jennifer, how are you today? 80 saying, I wish I had that problem. Now, if you are not having a ton of clients, ask yourself why that is. Is it that they're not finding you? Is it that you're not marketing to them? You're not standing out? And sometimes there's just a misalignment of the business. So for instance, if I want super high-end Starbucks style clients and I run a business that has, maybe it's too far away from people, maybe it's just not that level of expertise. Maybe when they come in, they're having an unpleasant experience. There could be a lot of reasons that can be the case. So figure out what that is, find out and make sure that you're looking at your ideal client and your soulmate client and saying, okay, am I fulfilling their needs? Are they wowed when they come here? Or are they just kind of like, it's okay? So if you are in the position where you have just had so many people inquire, whether that's because grooming salons are closing, if that's because, maybe you've had staff that left, right? There could be a lot of reasons that you have too many clients. So what do you start to do? So looking at your client list, and if you have a small client list, and by small client list, I'd say under 150, one option is to print off, if you have a computer system, print off all your clients and take out 3 highlighters. Are they your soulmate? Are they your ideal? Or are they your fling clients, right? And just highlight them. And that's a really easy, quick way to see your client base, and you can make it, orange, yellow, and pink, whatever you want. But what color are the majority of those clients, right? What is the majority of those clients? And then how often are they coming in? How many of these clients are 4-week clients? How many of these clients are 6-week clients? How many of them are 8-week clients? How often do they cancel? How often do they, give you trouble, whatever that trouble might be? So consider that, right? Why is it that that's happening with whatever they're doing? So from there, what I want you to do is to ask yourself, who is your soulmate client, and am I attracting them? And am I attracting them on purpose, or am I just getting lucky? Because sometimes we just get lucky. We could have a really great location. We may be, just the right place, right time. Always an option. So how do you start sifting and sorting? Well, what does your soulmate client entail? Now, I decided to go feline exclusive. So I wanted somebody who wanted their cat groomed or would groom their cat every 4 weeks, ideally with a bath and a blow dry. That's what I wanted. Now that's a very niche, very, very niche demographic. And I was charging between $100 and $200 a cat. So I want somebody who loves their cat unconditionally, is willing to get their cat groomed once a month, willing to pay my price. So there's got to be more beneath that, right? And so I started looking at all of the clients that were my soulmate client list, right? You start looking at that list. What do they have in common? Is it the area they live in? Is it maybe the same breeder of the same breed of dog? Like, what is the underlying connection, right? And there could be no connection, but it might be age. It might be gender. I found personally that guys that brought in their dogs tends to be, they tended to be my fling clients. There were very few male owners who would get their dogs done every 4 weeks. I just did not have many of them. Now that could be my area. You may live in an area where men are the best clients, right? It all depends on where you live and everything like that. So that, I think, is really helpful. So how do we narrow it down from there? Price, okay? If you haven't already considered doing my price increase masterclass, you should do it. It's a great class, and it not only tells you how to raise your prices, it teaches you how to understand your pricing and learn how to charge appropriately. That is a skill set that many of us don't have. It forces you to look into the future, look into the past, and then start making this plan for yourself. 80 saying might be my marketing, honestly, plus having a sick toddler on and off. Bless me. Absolutely. I mean, that could be a value point. If I'm a high-end client and I value somebody who is, I want somebody who's not going to cancel, right? That could be a value statement. I would find it very upsetting if my groomer canceled on me multiple times, so you've got to, give and take and figure that out. And yeah, it might be how you're marketing. There's a lot of reasons. Plush Paw is saying, well, groomer, I raised my price January 20th, thinking it would deter, but I'm more busy now. But what I'm seeing is the type of new client I'm seeing is my soulmate. Yes. So I'm excited that, you've raised, and I think that's it too. I think a lot of times people assume when you raise prices, you're always going to lose people. But I will say that a lot of times what ends up happening is that when you're too low, people go, what's wrong with you? I would always rather be the most expensive than near the bottom. I don't know why that is, but it's kind of like if you go to a restaurant and it's a really good restaurant, right? Let's say it's kind of divey, but they have really good food. We have a place like this in Newport called Poor Judgment. It's super divey, but the food is outstanding. Now, they tend to have a steak special. It's $15, and nobody buys it. Why? Because everywhere else on the island, a steak is $30 to $50. So they're like, oh, let's give people a good deal, right? We're going to make our money on the drinks anyway. But people don't want to try the steak because they assume that it's cheap. Therefore, there must be something wrong with it. And I think, honestly, if they raised it to like 25 or 30, they would probably sell a significant more amount of the steak. Oh, thank you. Plush Ball saying price increase class was amazing, to say the least. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Hunter, great to see you here live. Yay, I love when you guys come live, and it's always more fun. Okay, so moving on. So start looking at those clients. What is it? And again, you can raise your prices. Absolutely. If you raise your prices, what are you going to raise them to? The price increase masterclass is going to help you. It's going to help you know, because again, it's also, you can't keep doing more clients. You start being more selective. You start interviewing clients, having consultation groups, asking yourself, okay, is this somebody I want to make a commitment with for the next 10, 15 years, where we're going to mutually take care of ourselves, right? I'm going to help them take care of their pet and make their pet healthy and hygienic and cute, and they're going to give me money consistently, right? This is a partnership for a long time. And choosing to invest in those people versus the people that are fly-by-night, that are flaky, let them go to Petco and PetSmart. Let them go. Also, consider, is your business model compatible with dogs who are aggressive, with dogs that are wiggly or feisty or have special needs, people that want very specific haircuts? Ask yourself, is that what makes you happy? And if you say, yes, I love working with difficult dogs, and there's nothing wrong with that, make sure that you only hire staff that also enjoys working with difficult dogs, because you're going to burn out your staff or they're going to leave you. If I'm a groomer, I would much rather groom well-maintained dogs on a 4-week schedule that are mentally, emotionally healthy, physically healthy, and I don't have to almost play chess with them, right? Because if you're grooming an aggressive dog, you have to be on. And I will say that's the tough part about grooming cats versus dogs, is like with a dog, I can kind of zone out. I don't have to worry about it. But when I'm grooming an aggressive dog, I have to be aware, because anything I do might set that dog off. I have to worry about the distractions around the table. Is that going to set the dog off and have it redirect on me, etc.? And I can put the dog in a groomer's helper, and that definitely limits their bite zone, but it's not perfect. And it creates a fear, right? And I don't care who you are, even if you are the most confident person with aggressive dogs. I am very confident grooming aggressive dogs. It's a level of stress and fear throughout your day. That's not something we want long term. And if it is, make sure you're charging appropriately for it and you're doing less dogs. And this is where, guys, I teach the point system. If I can do 2 Shih Tzus, if every Shih Tzu, 5 strip on the body, round teddy bear face, is a 2-point dog, and then that same Shih Tzu in a drop coat who's got some knots and tangles and is Cujo, right? That dog's probably 4 to 6 points. And if my normal groomer can groom 5 dogs a day, that means that Shih Tzu is 2 to 3 dogs worth of time. So that groomer's only going to groom 2 or 3 other dogs and that dog. And if you have nothing but aggressive dogs, or if you have nothing but, difficult dogs, whether that's because of health reasons, whether that's because of behavior or coat type, that's going to shorten your day. And you have to make sure you're charging appropriately for that. But also, with that, I want to let you know that there's no wrong way to run your business. It is your business after all. But what I want to warn you is, especially if you're looking to add staff or keep staff, the easier you make their jobs, the longer they will stay. I cannot tell you how many groomers talk to me who leave jobs they love because they're tired of doing big dogs. They're tired of doing doodles. They're tired of doing aggressive dogs. They're tired of doing crazy haircuts, not even detailed haircuts, but haircuts that just are unreasonable on the maintaining schedule the owner's allowing to happen. So start going through your files. And there's plenty of groomers out there who will take this up and say, well, you're a horrible person. Every dog needs to be groomed. And I do agree with that. But again, I'm here for the people that want to live a better life. It's not my job to make sure every dog gets groomed. I'm not the hero here. I'm not a villain and I'm not a hero. My job as a savvy groomer is to help other people live their best life, right? I want the groomers that follow me to be grooming as long as they want, for as long or as short as they want, right? I want the people that follow me to be excited to go to work every day. And the way you can do that is to make those decisions. Ask yourself, what do you want? And don't close your books, unless if you have that client. And if you guys have seen my lives before, I hate when people close their books if they don't have a membership. To me, that is like moving in with a guy and, being super heteronormative right now, but it's like moving with a man and him never marrying you, like living with a guy for 7 to 10 years and you want to get married, but he's not getting married. And it's basically, you've committed this spot. You've turned away potentially better customers. You've turned away better opportunities potentially, right? That's the same thing we do when we're in a committed monogamous relationship. We could meet a man and we're like, wow, he's amazing. And they're really into us and they would love to take us on a date. But we're like, no, I'm in this committed relationship. I don't want you to do that if you are not getting something back, right? If you want me to commit to you, you need to commit to me. And that's why I love memberships. And that's a really easy way to cut down on how many clients, right? If I can groom 120 dogs a month, right? I could raise my prices and just do 100, right? Spread that extra 20 dogs around the 100, get a membership model, and then I have 100 people committed to me, and I basically don't have to worry about any calls. So we can just say we open our membership up twice a year. If you would like to be added to the wait list, just have them fill out a form, and then, you can send it all out and do your consultation grooms if you want to add anybody, right? And I know it sounds like overly simplified. There's way more to it than that. But that's a really great place to start. That's the main thing, is starting in a place that feels good. But you have to kind of start organizing how you're going to deal with this. And it's just going to get worse. We have more and more people leaving our industry, and it's going to keep happening. When prices and wages go up, people are leaving this industry. That's the tough part. I was talking to a groomer recently, and she had this lady like banging on, she's a solo groomer, she locks the door, lady like banging to groom her, like she wants to book an appointment. So I told her, I said, well, get a QR code for your door and say all appointments must be booked online. Have her book the online appointment, have it, new client be flagged, right? And then you can just either call them or onboard them any way you want and ask them to see pictures of the dog, set it aside, whatever it is that you do. But ultimately, that's a lot easier than dealing with all these people. And, you may not want to do that if you want to like really hone in and get your soulmate clients. One of the easiest ways of doing that is charging enough money and or requiring a 4-week schedule, right? You can require whatever you want. And I think it's so interesting because people are like, well, what about your people on 6 or 8? And I'm like, well, what if that's not an option? Why are people grooming 6 or 8 weeks? Because we told them to, because they're trying to save money, or because they think that's the appropriate interval. So if we start telling them, okay, we're going to book every calendar month, then we set the precedent. We tell them, okay, we groom dogs on a monthly basis. We groom cats on a monthly basis. And if they say, well, I want to do 6 weeks, then you can if you want to, but why? Why? And you might say like, oh, they don't necessarily need it every 4 weeks. They need it every 6. Well, my question for you is what does that matter? Are you going to tell me that they're not going to be, are you saying that every 4 weeks is not appropriate? Or, again, it's like, it's the best way of explaining this. It's kind of like saying like, I'm like, okay, let's do the very best thing. Let's set this at the best. And being like, I'm going to do less than the best. I'm going to do 50% longer than the best. Right? Because that's what it is. If 4 weeks is the optimal schedule, it's best. It's the hair cycle. It's emotionally the best time for the dog. And the dog is just always hygienic. The dog is always in a good care. You can keep an eye on the dog. Things change, month to month. Like, I don't hear a logical reason to do 6 weeks other than 4, other than people basically feeling guilty. But if I only have so many spots, juggling a 6 or 8 week client isn't really fair to the 4 week clients. I really loved when there was an article, I forget who wrote it, I'm sure I can find it, and they were talking about getting their house cleaned. If I get my house cleaned every 1 to 2 weeks, right? And let's say it's $100. And then if I get my house cleaned once every 3 months, or get my house cleaned once every year, right? The client who gets their house cleaned every 1 to 2 weeks is a significantly better client than the person who gets it done every 3 months or once a year. So we need to make sure that we're charging for that. And also, it's just a lot harder. It doesn't create that routine. So when you're getting these inquiries, let them be interviewed. Let them know that you're in the driver's seat, that they need to convince you to groom their pet. I think this whole great resignation and the great, what do they call it? The restructuring or restarts. I love it because it's giving the power back to us, right? And the power really is that we're going to be able to set the rules, we're going to be able to set the terms. And I want you to keep doing that. Doug Norma says, if they are not contributing to monthly bills, then I don't need to feel bad it not being ideal or affordable to them. Well, and everyone, let's be very fair here. Grooming is a luxury. Getting a dog is a luxury. It's a luxury item. You literally have a furry being you have chosen to have in your house. You guys will hear me say the phrase, you don't accidentally get pregnant with a Shih Tzu. As somebody who had a baby accidentally, I don't regret him. He's amazing. That's one thing. You go out and you buy a dog. You go out and buy a dog with a specific hair type. You can go and learn to groom your own dog. You choose to have me do this service. And there's plenty of chop shops. You can go to Petco, PetSmart. You can go anywhere. You want to come to me. And therefore, you have to pay for that. That's it. I am not here to be a nonprofit. I do think that there's lots of room if people want to be nonprofits. But most of us are in it for a business. Like, we need to make money to be able to retire and take care of our families. So, they've got to make their choice. They have to make their values of what it is they're willing to spend their money on. The average American car payment right now is over $500. Gas is almost to $5 a gallon. No one's going up to the gas station and going, like they're going to say, oh, it's so expensive, but no one's going to go up to the guy in the booth and yell at them about the price of gas and try to negotiate with them. Aaron is saying, I had a guy leave me a voicemail saying he didn't realize he needed an application to just get his dog haircut. He did not get a return call. Absolutely. But see, that's the thing, right? By doing these things, you will find the people who appreciate you. Again, if somebody feels, I don't need an application just to get his dog's haircut, he's not looking for a lifelong partner in the health and well-being of his pet. He's looking for some jamoke to cut his dog's hair. He's not going to listen to you. He's not going to be supportive with what you do. He's probably not going to do anything that you tell him to do, right? And that's fine. That's not your soulmate client. Let him go to Petco or PetSmart. Let him go to, some chop shop that is going to wash him in Dawn for $35 because he doesn't care. He doesn't value it, right? It's just not. And I use the example of the photographer. Personally, I love photography. I don't value photography, which is really hard for me to say because I have lots of friends that are amazing photographers. And what I realized is that I just don't value it enough to pay for it. I know I need new headshots because every time your girl changes her hair, she needs new headshots and she's got to stop doing it because they're getting expensive. But it's really hard for me when I get quotes of anywhere between $200, $500, $1,200. I don't value fresh headshots for $1,200. It's not that it's expensive. It's just I don't value it enough. And that's the thing I have to catch me saying, right? Because what I want to say is, wow, $1,200 seems excessive. But it's not, right? It's their art and they can price their art at whatever they want. To me, I do not value headshots enough to pay $1,200. I really don't. Would I pay a couple hundred? Yeah. Would I pay $500? Maybe. I'd have to be convinced. And the question is that $500 photographer probably doesn't want to spend the energy in convincing me to spend the money. And it's a lot easier to work with somebody who says, wow, I love your photography. I'm going to pay what you charge. So I will probably go to the $200 photographer. It may not be as good as the $500 or $1,200, but that's irrelevant because I don't care enough. I don't care enough to pay 2, 3, 4 times as much. But somebody who really values photography and really sees it as a way to make things in time, they're this is very important. I do this every year for my family, or their wedding, they're going to really value that, right? And they're going to spend the money. And they're going to find those photos incredibly precious and be so appreciative. I am not that person. And it would be a waste of time for the $1,200 photographer to try to convince me. Because there's no amount of convincing that would convince me to pay $1,200 for headshots. I just wouldn't do it. I don't value it. So when you have all these people coming to you, these too many clients, right? Too little time. Find a system that helps you narrow them down. Look at your own current clientele, especially if you're booked 3 or 6 months in advance. Don't just give anyone an appointment. We talked about this in one of my workshops that's in the library. Somebody had a groomer I knew had a family member who had a doodle, and he would get his dog groomed once, maybe twice a year. And so he would book prime real estate for appointments like the week of Thanksgiving and the week of Christmas. And he would book them months and months and months in advance. And by doing that, your staff is going to be more stressed, or you're going to be more stressed because you're going to do the worst once-a-year dogs during the busiest season. right? At the most primo spots. And that means that the good clients don't get to do those spots. And there's lots of ways of cutting those people down. But I want you to really look at your clients. If you don't want to do big dogs, then start weeding them out. Say, okay, I'm only going to do big dogs on a 4-week schedule that want haircuts, clipper cuts, no scissoring. I mean, you have to finish scissoring, but like no like scissored legs and no like, whatever, if that's what you want. I don't personally love scissoring legs. I think it's like my nightmare to try to make bony doodle legs look full and fluffy. I don't like scissoring cylinders. It's not my, like I had a client with a Portuguese water dog. I want stovepipe legs. It's like, okay, we'll do our best. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, ask yourself. And you can just start cutting people out. You can give them a list of other people you know. And if they're not willing to, go down to 4 weeks, or if they're not willing to modify their haircut, or if they're not willing to not work, say you want to cut out Saturdays. Maybe it's like, okay, I'm not going to work on Saturdays anymore. So you either have to go during the week, during the day, or you need to find another groomer. You can do that. You can do whatever you want. We always suggest that you look at your numbers, but figure out how you want to make you happy. That's the most important thing. Your long-term happiness, your long-term health, emotional, physical, mental health. And don't let people bully you, man. It's not worth it. So that was today's topic about too many clients, too little time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I always do. And if you want to talk further, you guys can always hop over to my free Facebook group, Savvy Pet Professionals. We talk about personal finance, business, and lifestyle. It's kind of nice to do that. You can also check out my podcast called Greedy Bitch, where groomers stop apologizing for charging what they're worth. We're going to be starting that about every other week, and then I'm going to go and see how I like that so far. And then also, guys, coming soon is the business boot camp, where we're going to be talking about exactly that, how to get you excited about your life, right? We're going to talk about long-term plans, about how to align your business to you. That, I think, it cannot be understated. I think there are so many people that own businesses and they're just trapped. They're just completely trapped in their business. And I don't think that's a great way to live, and that's not what I want for you guys. You can do whatever you want. You want to be a workaholic and be miserable your whole life? That's okay. I love you anyway. I would just prefer it if you didn't. Dog Norris is saying thank you so much. Always good to pop in and root for the boss babe. Yes. I love it. Find you guys. Be happy. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out what it is that you need to do to be happy. So guys, thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. I appreciate you. So as always, happy grooming, guys.